Okay, I'm going to now move to questions which were posed by the sisters from the Wembley Muslim Centre. Now I think we've answered the first one, which was how do you pledge to fight for a free Palestine and bring a permanent end to genocide? I think we've both dealt with that in previous answers.
Can I just add something to my answer? I'm sorry to take time.
Of course.
Our leaders also have to be accountable. Leaders in the United States also have to be accountable. I would support in bringing it forth to the ICJ a legal project, to arrest our current leaders who have promoted this genocide in Palestine. They have to be held accountable.
You've got big corporations now, and politicians being funded and run by big corporations. So they're beholden to these big corporations. How do you hold them accountable?
Well, the corruption has to end and the sovereignty has to be regained. So if they're a politician, they have to be working for the country, not working for their own personal interests. And they have to be held accountable if they're benefiting privately from making contracts or legal decisions for their own self-gain.
Maybe there should be more power to the judiciary then, because it's very difficult to fight. They've got very able lawyers.
Yeah.
That's the problem with the case, isn't it?
And we have to re-strengthen our judiciary system, or reclaim it rather.
Martin, I don't think you would have heard all of that exchange because there were questions from the audience as well. But did you want to add anything? And if you want, I can repeat the questions that were.
Repeat the questions, don't mind, because that's.
Okay. Well, the original question, which I said I thought you had both answered, was how do you pledge to fight for a free Palestine and bring a permanent end to genocide? And what Nadia said, in addition to what she had said earlier, was that she thinks that our leaders, both here and in the US, must be accountable, including having to account to the ICJ and the ICC, which prompted a question from a member of the audience, well, how do you achieve accountability? Because most of the leaders are in hock to big corporations. And if you heard her answer, it was she thinks that corruption has got to end. People who are leading the country have got to be accountable to their electorate and not to private businesses. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Yes, I mean, the original question I think we need to address as well. On war crimes, the Green Party believes there's strong evidence that there is genocide in progress and support the ICJ case. So we also believe that all UK arms exports and military cooperation with Israel should end. And we believe that actually the British government's collaboration in that makes them complicit in war crimes and liable to have action taken against them in terms of aiding and abetting genocide, if that's the eventual position that's adopted by the International Court. The other things may be coming up later, but should be mentioned as a way of putting pressure on those corporations and so on is boycott, divestment and sanctions. Successful method in South Africa and putting pressure on Indian apartheid there. Make the capitalists suffer by withdrawing our custom, etc., more institutionally to try and end pension funds' investments in those companies which we believe are complicit. One example, of course, is Barclays Bank, which is a big campaign on at the moment that I've taken part in and many people here have, to stop them funding the arms trade, which is killing people in South Africa. On sports, the boycott of Puma has been successful in ending their complicity in terms of sponsorship of Israeli football.
Okay, Martin, I'm going to move on to another question because I think you covered that quite extensively. There's a change of tone here in the next question, which I'm going to put, I think, to the Green Party first, because I've had Nadia answering hers first on behalf of the Workers' Party for the last few questions. What is the Green Party's pledge on immigration?
A pledge on immigration, if you want to call it immigration as well, is that we want to end the hostile environment.
Right.
We want to enable those fleeing danger, persecution and war to have safe routes into this country. We want to work with other countries to establish those safe routes. In a very fast and fair process to assess asylum applications at the moment. There's hundreds of thousands of people are waiting. And what's been important, I think, for Brent, I don't know if Nadia was there was a big demonstration outside a hotel in Wembley of migrants demanding the right to work in this country whilst they're waiting for their applications to be processed. We support the right of asylum seekers to work so that they get an income, that they don't have to then be in hotels necessarily. They might be able to support themselves while their applications are going through. There is a labour shortage in many areas. There are jobs that should be available and can be filled.
Very good. Okay. Nadia, what's the Workers' Party's policy on pledge on immigration?
So the party is against mass illegal immigration because of its lack of infrastructure in this country. Our pledge is to stop the wars that create the mass illegal immigration. However, we do welcome refugees and asylum seekers, but it has to be done through a civilised route, not forcing families to having to spend money, give it to a smuggler, go on a boat illegally, risk your life. It has to be done through the embassies, reopen the embassies, let people do it in the right way. And then you don't lose money to the smugglers, you don't, they don't risk their lives. Do it in the right way. And then also you can see who's an asylum seeker, who's coming for, work. Because you're absolutely right, we are lacking workers. We are, because we left the EU. There is a shortage of skilled workers in the labour force. So that's what we stand on.
Okay.
Can I come back on that? Because I was at Hustings the other day.
Go on. Sorry, can you hear me? Martin, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah, far away then, go on.
Yeah, I was at Hustings where the Workers' Party said that they wanted to limit immigration because foreign workers lowered wages of the local workers here because they could be employed at lower rates. I opposed that at the time, saying that what's important is that those migrant workers should be enrolled in trade unions, and trade unions work with them to bring up their wages. Just as we learnt way back in the 80s with the Grunwick strike, that recruiting such workers to unions can result in winning wage increases and suitable conditions. So there was a difference of approach there.
Okay.
Can I just say, I'll put my camera back on because someone requested it. I am aware that if you have cameras on, it can reduce the bandwidth and therefore sound, etc.
Okay, well, I don't know from whom the request came, but we're delighted to see your face, Martin. I can just say that. The next question is...
We're going to have to go. Would it be okay if I ask one question quickly?
Yes, there's a question from the floor.
Okay, thank you. I just want to know what the policy is on net zero from the Green Party and also from Nadia.
Okay, so the question is, what is the policy on net zero from the Green Party and from the Workers' Party? So, Nadia, I'll ask you that first.
We don't agree with it. At the end of the day, what it's actively doing, it's oppressing working class and working people. For me personally, what I've seen as a common person, it's a facade. In Brent West particularly, the blue bags, it causes more stress, and it was far better before, and especially you, Les. ULEZ has put such pressure on everyday working class people by forcing them to spend the money on cars when they could have better spent it elsewhere. At the end of the day, this net zero agenda, our party requires far, far more evidence.
Martin, what's the Green Party's policy on net zero? Sorry, I can't hear you. You're muted, excuse me.
Yeah, yes, I'm getting messages from Baston that he's trying to reconnect, but he can't get his audio working. So, our policy on net zero is that a movement towards net zero is actually essential for the survival of the planet. And it has to happen across the world, not just in Britain, obviously, but we have to play our part. In terms of ULEZ, etc., there's an argument that we need a transition, which is a just transition that can, that doesn't penalise workers, etc., etc. So we need good systems for subsidising transition towards electric cars, etc., etc., and one more generous than the one that exists now. A just transition, if it had been applied to, say, the coal miners, when Thatcher closed down the mines, would have established industries, potentially green industries in those districts, rather than leave the communities to die a death, as has happened. We need a regional strategy on building strength across the country rather than industry being in one particular area. We would phase out fossil fuels because they poison our atmosphere and they actually damage children, the children's health, and we would oppose the current Conservative government and probably Labour government's policy to carry on extracting oil and gas locally, and we speed up the transition to other forms of renewable energy.
Could I answer back on that?
And can I ask a further question to that, to the Green Party?
Sorry, there's another question from a member of the audience, the same person. Carry on.
So would the Green Party also support 15-minute cities?
Did you hear that, Martin? Would the Green Party also...
I could hear a thing. So
Okay. The question is, would the Green Party also support 15-minute cities?
Yes, that's an interesting concept. Obviously, that can only happen in some areas. There's been quite a campaign against it, with a lot of conspiracy theories thinking that this is a way of controlling people, almost like you're being locked within your area 15 minutes from home and can't go anywhere else. You know, that isn't the concept. The concept is that you can get most of your daily needs in a 15-minute walk or cycle in your local area. Of course, yeah, that can't work if you're living in the middle of nowhere. But within a city, that's quite a good idea. I find it interesting. My mother used to live, she's dead now, but this house exists in Leighton Buzzard, Bedfordshire. Small market town, but you could get anything that you wanted within a walk up the town, which was 10 or 15 minutes.
Sorry,
Okay,
one more
sorry.
question to the
Shops
Green
and facilities
Party.
you wanted to go there.
Sorry, Martin, sorry.
I have to travel on the tube to some places in order to get what I want. For example, a bookshop.
Sorry, one more question.
Well, hang on a minute. Martin, you've been quite expansive on that. I'm going to give Nadia the next shot, and then...
Sorry, of course.
Sorry. So the question is, does the Workers' Party agree with 15-minute cities?
No. Absolutely not. Look at where the money is coming from. Look who's invested in these ideas. And you know there's an agenda behind it. Don't look at the facade. And also, no, let me finish, please. The thing what I really disagree with is that the Green Party's facade that they are with the working class. Now, my experience with the Green Party in Brighton isn't a good one. And I've been on the pickets with the dustbin collectors. I'm sure the gentleman would remember what happened 11 years ago. The minute the Green Party got in power in Brighton, one of their first legislation was, let's cut the salaries of the dustbin collectors by £4,000. Let's not go to the rich and famous, let's not try and see if they can donate some money, let's cut it from working class people. And that, I don't care how green friendly you're trying to be, that's not on. People have enough stress and pressure as it is. You don't attack poor people. And I would love a greener planet, I really would. You know, I don't want kids with asthma in our streets in London. But don't attack the normal people. Don't penalty them financially.
Martin, briefly, because there are other questions, and this particular tranche of questions were unheralded and not pre-submitted. So, yeah.
I've got one more question for the
attack on the Green Party for not being in favour of workers. I'll just tell you what our policy is on workers' rights. I'm a member of the Green Party trade union group. I'm a member of the National Education Union. I've been a member of a trade union for more than 50 years. The Green Party policy is to repeal current anti-union legislation and replace this with a positive Charter of Workers' Rights, introduce a maximum 10-to-1 pay ratio for all private and public sector organisations, deliver equal rights for all workers currently excluded from protections, including the gig economy and those on 0 hours contracts, reducing working time so that we can all have happier, healthier and more productive lives. We'll support reduced working hours and moving towards a green 4-day week.
Okay. Now, before I come back to you again, I'm sorry. I'm going to return to the list of questions that we had, and the next question that we had.
Just one more.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is these questions haven't been pre-submitted. Well, I mean, I'm sure it's important, but you can wait your turn. That's the answer.